You are listening to the F11 Photography Podcast.
To the chasers of light, to the purveyors of pictures, to all of you listening from around the world, this is the F11 Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Deal, along with your board operator and your other host, Mr. Brandon Gorrie.
I'm 2 coffees in. Let's do it.
Yes, Brandon hit the crowd cheering today because we have a guest. Oh, there it is. Yep. We have a guest in studio today, and we have a microphone that's in the way of my hand, so I can't reach the board as much as I normally would. And so Brandon is helping me out. So
I got you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. So I don't know what banter we're gonna work on today. To start the episode. Well, let's see. What's this? Ooh, hey, I just had somebody slide into my... Okay.
On the topic of what's not popular in today's photography is child sacrifice. Yes, we're seeing it sweep the world as we speak, that sacrificing children for the sake of photography is actually lessening in popularity, and we're very thankful to live in the first world here.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Don't lie to me, Kevin.
So anyway, I had this, I'm going to say housewife... say that she wants to collaborate with me.
Oh, wait.
I'm gonna decline her. So
that's heinous.
No.
Why are you?
She's not a model. She
just charge more.
No, she wants to collaborate. She doesn't collaborate. You know the internet. You know the. I want to collaborate, which is a way of saying I want to work with you and I don't want to pay for it. And it's like, cool. Well, then what do you add to my portfolio? Nothing. Then I don't want to collaborate.
People don't think that way. They think that, and I understand that. Like they want to see if they get a one-off because the opportunity cost is like zero.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like
it depends. So like a lot of photographers don't value themselves.
Right. So say someone 75% as skilled as you says yes, they get a massive win just for asking. They get a massive win, because a lot of photographers, they just don't want to be rude and they'll be like, I could spare an hour and a half and just like,
yeah,
appease this person.
I'm to the point now where I can say no.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I don't. Hey, here's my rates, and and she's pretty, but she's not a model. There's a fucking difference. So being beautiful doesn't. If we've talked about this ad nauseum on this pod, which is. It doesn't matter that you're pretty. It matters that you know your body in front of a camera. Dude. And I'm a photographer, and I want to take pictures of people that know their body in front of a camera. And it's clear from your pictures that you just want to go, here I am in Greece. Look at me, I'm so pretty. And that's cool. If that's what you do. There's a world for that. There's people who want to consume that. I'm not that photographer who does that.
I recently worked
with
the Wednesday Addams of models.
Go on.
Just like stoic. Wouldn't say a word, like resting bitch face almost the entire time. And, whenever I'd say like, okay, can we like do your body this way? And she'd like chuckle to herself and go, no. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not even joking.
Was she paying?
Signed. No.
So it was a collaboration? It was a test?
Test.
But did you see any pictures ahead of that? She knows her body?
She shot with some of the best photographers here in Austin who do ongoing test work for some of the top agencies in Central Texas. And I was like, okay, cool. So terrible experience. So this is just saying, like, even if they're signed.
Well, that doesn't mean shit. We've had unsigned models in here who know their bodies better than signed models. So that's not that surprising. Oh yeah. But you do get surprised sometimes where you see somebody's work and you're like, oh my God, like that. I want to work with this model so much, and then the experience is just like, wow, that did not live up to the hype. I don't know. I mean, it could be that maybe these photographers, because I've seen there's some models you shot that I've shot that I'm like, well, Brandon seems to get better work out of them than I do. Cool. It's just a compatibility thing, whatever. But yeah, there are some where there's just like a massive disappointment because you got nothing. And you're like, how do you have a career How, you're telling me no, like, do you not get direction on a set?
I went through those photos yesterday, and it's I was just like, fuck.
Now I'm curious.
I'm like, it's so bad.
All right. Our sponsor today is Luminar Neo. Harness the power of artificial intelligence with Luminar Neo. If you are a photographer and you don't like to do editing and you want some cool, legit AI modules to do editing for you, check out Luminar Neo. My favorite things that it does is AI masking. So if you've ever been in Lightroom or you've ever been in Capture One and you're drawing a mask and you're trying to separate the model from the scene and all that, it'll just analyze your scene and go, this is a model, or this is a person, this is a human, this is a street, this is a train, this is a building, and it actually creates masks based off of artificial intelligence analyzing what something is. And so if you're just like, hey, I love my scene, but I forgot my flash and I just want to make my model a little brighter in the foreground, it'll select the model, and then you can go in and just turn up the exposure a little bit and make the model stand out and pop, and it'll look like you had a flash, which is pretty cool. There's other cool things like power line removal, your sky replacement, which I find the sky replacement in that to be better than the sky replacement in Photoshop, personally. What are some of your favorite modules that you have used in Luminar Neo, Brandon? Because you did a review of it as well.
Yes. Well, one of my favorite things about Luminar Neo is they have a very complex lighting system. They've got a great high dynamic range tool system where not only can you make your contrast, brightness, blacks, and white edits, but they also have a secondary sort of light panel that goes in between where you can basically attack like a secondary contrast and attack the highlights, the mid-ranges, and the shadows with different sliders as well. And so you get great color accuracy, you get great lighting accuracy. And I also love their pinpointing for the eyes and facial adjustments that you would otherwise have to do in Photoshop.
Exactly. So that was very long-winded. I liked it. But check out the link in the description of this podcast, and I believe we have a 10% off code. You just type in Kevin10 or use the code, and you can get 10% off your copy of Luminar Neo today. Speaking of today, we have a guest inside the F11 studio. Joining us, local model, Rachel Hill.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome. So you live on, I was jokingly going to like give your address away. So your address is, no, I'm just fucking with you. Welcome to the studio. Rachel is a extremely talented model, and I open up every interview the exact same way with the exact same question, which is tell us your story and tell us how you got into modeling.
Okay, awesome. So basically, I kind of grew up watching America's Next Top Model, watching all of those great shows, and just kind of being like, wow, it would be great to maybe do that one day. Obviously, looking back, that show is like really problematic. But growing up, went to high school, my friend got into like a little bit of modeling, and she got reached out to by one of the agencies in downtown Austin at the time. And so I reached out to them as well, begged my dad to take me. They were like, she should do acting classes. And he was like, we're not paying for that. We're not doing that. So fast forward many more years, I'm working as a bartender. I want to start doing modeling. I reach out to a couple of photographers. I do a few shoots. And then the Chive actually got a hold of me through one of their other photographers. I started working with the Chive, doing their stuff. And then, of course, OnlyFans and all of that kind of blew up at the time. And then, 3 years later, I've just been doing my thing.
So, as you've come to know the photography and the model space here in Austin, Texas, what sort of division do you have between your OnlyFans work and your creative work? Is there a division? How do you approach that?
I definitely think there's a division. I feel like for me, OnlyFans is my job, and the modeling work that I do is more of like a passion. It's something that I've really always wanted to do. I didn't grow up watching America's Next Top Model and go, oh, can't wait to do OF one day. I was like, I want to work with people. I want to do creative things. Like, I really enjoy being someone's muse or just being able to be someone's tool to try something different. I think that's really enjoyable for me. And then again, OF is just my job. It doesn't define me or what I do, but I also do enjoy making that content and make a lot of money doing it.
Have you found that, because, you know, at the end of the day, being a model, you're utilizing your body and your familiarity with your body. It's very body positive. And like at the end of the day, you're making shapes with your body, and those shapes, there's like an objective like appeal to them. High fashion models, like, you know, something that they do really well is they make shapes. They make triangles with their arms and their legs in different ways. They contort their shoulders and their hips. And so in that light, does one aspect of your creativity inform the other? Like if you're doing certain poses on OnlyFans, does that help to inform like the creative space of your own work, or vice versa?
I definitely think so. I think they feed off of each other. Definitely when I'm feeling, or I guess right now it feels like they're kind of starting to mesh. So it's definitely like I can take this amazing photo shoot and still make it some way usable for OF. I mean, I do post a lot of my like photo shoot photos there, and the fans love to see that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's meshing in that way. And then, of course, there's always the opportunity to do better quality, not safe for work content. I usually just shoot at home, but, you know, a book shoots a book a location. I could always do that content there, you know?
Yeah.
For your OF stuff, do you said you shoot at home. Do you do all your own shooting with it for the most part, or do you have other people shoot you?
I do my own shooting, but then sometimes, like, in photo shoots, I have one female photographer I work with where, like, we'll do some topless photos, stuff like that. But all of my like real not safe for work content is all self-shot.
Okay, just curious because I'm a little older. So I became hip to OnlyFans when someone like just reached out to me once and was like, hey, I want to work together. And, you know, I do my due diligence. I'm like, well, okay, this person wants to work with me. I'll research them. And, you know, there's your link tree and all that. I'm like, what's OnlyFans? And he click on it. It's like my exclusive content. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so I was like, well, whatever. I don't care. Like, you know, whatever you do, what you do. But then the more I started researching, because like my thought process, and it's from a place of protecting my work, not passing judgment on people who do it. Because I like I said, I don't care. Like if you can get people to part with their money, more power to you. I'm all for it. But what I thought was crazy is like, okay, I know I don't shoot what I would perceive as stuff that would probably be pushed on this platform, so I got nothing to worry about. But then I started to do some research, and apparently there are women out there who are clearing $5,000 a month selling pictures of their feet. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, well, maybe even like the stuff I would deem not racy could end up on there anyway. And from my understanding, and this is a educate me thing because I really don't know anything about it other beyond what I just told you, which is how do I know that somebody is using pictures I've taken of them without subscribing to their channel to see? And so that's why I've always been like reluctant. And I declined her, not because I was passing judgment, because it's like there's no way I could protect my copyrights.
What about licensing fees?
Well, how the fuck are you supposed to license something if you don't even know someone's using it? That's the problem. Yeah, so I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that. Like, was I right in my instinct? Because it's not to say that the person was going to do something bad with my work. It's just there's no way to know without me subscribing. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely reasonable, and I think just like how you're feeling, it totally goes the other way with a model. Like I've definitely had a photographer be like, "Oh, I have these photos of this chick, and this guy wants to pay me for them. Should I sell them to him?" And I was like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, of course it can go the other way. And like, I think with that, it's just like, yeah, like doing your research, really vetting them, and just like understanding that, I mean, people can be pretty, shitty.
Well, people tends to do what we perceive as bad things when they fall into hard times. Because they're like, oh, I have these pictures of myself, I can make money. Nobody's going to know except for the people who are subscribing. And I'm not the type of person who would ever subscribe to that. It's not because I pass judgment. It's just not my thing. Like, I don't want to pay for that. Like, it's cool. It's not my thing. But I don't care that people do it. I'm like, hey, make money how you make money. But yeah, like it also comes down to people not understanding how copyright works. So, I make every single model sign a release, whether there's money exchanging hands or not. We are all stating what we intend to do with these images, and we're going to put it in writing, and that's not a big deal to me. But apparently a lot of photographers don't do this. Now the law falls back on whoever is the person who pushes the shutter release is the author. Doesn't matter. Like I could take 100,000 shots in a session, but if I hand the camera over to Brandon and Brandon shoots that picture of you, he owns that one picture of you despite the fact that it was taken with my camera. There's legal precedent for this in the court system. But, I always make models sign that release. And then it's funny, the one time I had a model who wanted to do some pinup stuff, and she's like, well, I want to sell these. So I was like, oh, okay, you want to sell them? All right, well, what do you mean you want to sell them? So instead of having her sign my release, I was like, hey, let's see what we get. And then from there, we can make a decision on what kind of contract we want to draft up. And so I took some shots of her. They weren't that good. Like it's okay to admit that sometimes, like, yeah, that wasn't my best work. She loved them. I think she just got dollar signs in her head. She's like, I can sell the shit out of these. I don't see how, but they weren't that good. But anyway, so it got down to it, and she was like, okay, well, I want to sell these. I was like, cool. Do you want to do a copyright buyout, or do you want to license them out for a period of time? And she's like, no, I own these images. I'm like, come again? You own these images? She's like, yeah, I own these images. I was like, why is that? Because this whole concept was by me. I came up with this concept. I was like, you can't copyright an idea, because if you could copyright an idea, I would copyright addition and subtraction, and every time somebody added and subtracted something, they'd owe me money, which is why that you can't copyright an idea, because that's fucking ridiculous. So anyway, I tried to explain this to her, and she gave me some bullshit about, oh, I'm going to talk to my lawyer. I was like, please talk to your lawyer. I want to meet your lawyer. I don't even need a lawyer to represent me to know that I own my own work, and anybody who's passed a bar exam will know that that's true.
Hi, I'm Jordan Groby, and you're listening to the F11 Photography Podcast.
How, like, you do a shoot with a photographer, and let's say you get 25 plus, like, great images back. How long do you think that would last you on OnlyFans, like, monetarily? Like, what's kind of like the upkeep there?
I guess it just really depends, because I don't really make like extra money off the photos. I just use them on my feed similar to how I would for Instagram. Mm-hmm. So the main money I'm making is still from my sole content. I'm just using those images to like represent myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think I can always do throwback pictures. I can always find old stuff in my Dropbox. I mean, I've shot for the past 2.5 years. So I have a lot of content, but I think what really like drives me to shoot more is wanting to create more and like wanting to do those creative shoots versus like thinking like, yeah, I'm running out of content at OF, but I'm also like, I really want to do this new shoot. I have these cool outfits or this cool concept. And like, that is what pushes me more than just not having as many feed posts,
So just like other social media, OnlyFans is like, it's an ongoing machine. You feed it content and it bleeds into it like other content. Some's paid, some's not. But like, speaking of the creativity, OnlyFans recently released TV. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Explain that to the audience. What is that and what does it mean to you?
Yeah. So OFTV is basically like a safe for work platform for OF that has an app you can get on your TV, and it's similar to YouTube. It's kind of like a minute, 30-second or longer videos, and you basically can do kind of whatever you want. I have some videos like trying on different wigs. I did like a coffee video where you get to know me. I've done like stretching videos, and I mean, it's been around for a few years, but I didn't know about it until maybe like 6 months ago, and I just started doing it maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, and it really is just like exploded everything for me. And having OF support, OF has like reposted me a few times on their page to all of their subscribers, and so it's been really like reassuring and really great to get to do like kind of YouTube videos and then also see it monetize and help with my work. So I think it's a really amazing platform.
And speaking of, I want to go back to like the photographer thing. Like, that's awesome that they do like safe for work stuff. It kind of, I'm assuming that would provide like a basis, like a context, like you're kind of meeting a person, but like you're not diving into their paid stuff, and it's just kind of like a nice way to get introduced. But that being said, like being a part of OnlyFans and marketing yourself as a model on Instagram as well, I'm sure there is a boatload of dudes who get in touch with you on the daily who are like just trying
hourly
a couple times a minute, and they're just trying to weasel their way into doing a nude shoot. And first and foremost, like, how has that experience been for you? And like, secondly, like, is there any advice you could give to dudes who are looking to work with a model who does NSFW work.
Totally. I think there is also a big difference between like doing nude modeling and doing OF stuff, obviously. Like there's photographers I worked with that I love, and I've shot nude work for their art books before, and I have loved that experience. I no longer shoot nude work with anybody. I don't feel comfortable with it for that exact reason of like anyone could just take the photo and post it somewhere, you know?
The internet is forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I already put enough of that out there. I don't need somebody else monetizing off of my body like that. So in the sense of that, I think it really just, like it depends on, are you being the guy who's like, I shoot nude artwork, I shoot nude models, or are you just being like, I want to shoot an OF chick? Because that's where it's like, you know, you're just trying to fuck, and that's not what I'm trying to do, you know?
That's funny. The ones that are the guys who do that, all their profiles look the same. Like you go, cause I'll see that shit all the time. Like every now and then they'll just randomly follow me, and anytime somebody follows me, I go check them out, and I'll see like it's like all looks like it's a fantasy shot, like from the end of their camera, like their camera's an extension of their phallus or some shit. It's like, dude, you suck. Like, of course, we've talked about this in the past. A lot of times in their bios, they say they empower women. That's so good. Yeah, it's nothing cringe. It makes me cringe more than a dude who finds a bunch of chicks with low self-esteem and like fucking cheats and I empower women. It's like, no, you take advantage of women who have no self-esteem is what you do, and you're not that great, dude.
It's when they post photos and you can see their shoes in the shot, and they're like wearing Air Force Ones or some shit like that. It's just
like, oh man, yeah, like, ooh, yeah, that's a cringeworthy thing.
Yeah, and then you find out they're like 34, and you're like, bro, you can't be doing this.
Or they're 50, and she's like 19. It's like, bro, like it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. What's the worst experience you've had on Instagram with dudes who are, as you say, just trying to fuck?
It's definitely when they reach out and I just either don't reply or respectfully decline. Like, I don't reply ever, but when I had been single, I would just be like, no, like, you know, I'm good, like, whatever. Or even when I was, like, younger, I was just like, whatever, I'll just say no and reply. And then they're like, well, fuck you, you're a dumb bitch. And it's like, dude, you're just trying to, like, fuck and, like, slide in my DMs and shit. But I forgot the question.
What's the worst thing you've seen?
Just like, oh, right. Worst thing I've seen, though.
That's a pretty good response.
Well, there's two types. There's two types of male photographers out there who shoot women. There are the ones who are out there to just get what they can get, and there's the people like me who are absolutely terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing, or maybe have something be taken the wrong way. And that's the way to be, because it's like my reputation's worth. There's not a chick in the world we're taking pictures of that's worth my fucking reputation. Period. Yeah. No. I'm like, yo, like if I say something wrong, just like question me on it so I can re-clarify myself, because I promise I'm just here to get good photography.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. When you're shooting someone nude, you clock in your gay card and you clock out after the shoot's done.
Well, something else I've done over time too is when I shoot fashion, because like first of all, I don't wear women's clothing. I don't know how it fits. To everyone's surprise, if you take one look at me, it'd be pretty fucking obvious. But I sit there and I think about what makes a good picture, and so I don't know how clothing fits on somebody. And so like I'm like, hey, if I ask you to do something and you are like, I can't do that with what I'm wearing, it's not because I'm asking you to do it because I'm being a shithead. It's because I don't know any better. So just go, hey, I can't do that in this outfit. Like, speak up, because then they'll be like, oh yeah, of course you can't. I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I always have that conversation the first time I ever work with a model doing fashion stuff, because it's like I don't ever want to have some sort of a misunderstanding. But so have you ever had? Because for you have all the dipshits who fall into your inboxes. We have the what we call the bored non-models who fall into our inboxes, and that's when we give them our rates. it's like you're not a model, you're just pretty, and there's a difference. But have you? I mean, I'm assuming you've had a pretty good go at it by not running into too many bad photographers. Have you had any bad experiences, like, or has it been pretty okay?
I think it's been pretty okay. I've definitely just I have a pretty good intuition. The only super sketchy situation that I can really think of is way beginning in my career. This photographer was like, hey, come shoot with me. Like, he lived off of the side of 35 and the sun was setting and he had sheets over his windows, and I was like, hey, it's getting dark. I don't really feel comfortable. I called my boyfriend. He's like, yeah, don't go in. And then he's standing on the doorstep and he's like, just come out. I want to talk to you. And I was like, no, I'm leaving.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I see horror stories. So there's a local Facebook group where I'll just be like, I just subscribe to it for the drama mainly because there's a lot of infighting and stuff, and I like to watch people have drama. I don't like to participate in it, but the group, sometimes when you need somebody at the last minute, you can go into that group and go, hey, I need a hairstylist or whatever. But I have seen some naive models get in there. It's like, yeah, so this guy wants me to shoot boudoir in his apartment, and he said it's gonna be good, and it's should I do it? And it's like, fuck no, don't no, stop. But yeah, I'm glad you trust your intuition, because I've heard some horror stories before.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also go back to before that, because I will say the first couple shoots I did that got my the chive photographer's eyes on me, it was a photographer where he's not recently passed, but he passed away a few years ago, so that sucks. But he was never creepy, but he was like, hey, come shoot this hotel, and I did shoot top of stuff there. And looking back, I'm like, I would not let my friend or kid go do that, but it was the catalyst for me personally that led to the chive thing. And yes, it was all naivety, and there could have been worse things that happened throughout all of that. I'm just grateful that it didn't, because not everyone's story is like that,
No.
at all.
I've heard horror stories about these models who went to this guy's house to go shoot, and they would only do it if the two of them went. They wanted a buddy there or whatever, and which is smart. But they went into the guy's closet to go get changed. It's doesn't he have a multi-bedroom house? Couldn't you have gone to one of his bedrooms? Well, anyway, so we went into his closet to change him. There were sex dolls and shit in there. And I'm just if you're gonna have someone get changed in your house, maybe have them choose the room that doesn't have the fucking sex dolls in it. You fucking weirdo, creepy motherfucker.
Well, speaking of, dude, I was in a very uncomfortable situation recently, is where I was shooting with a model, and she asked oh, can my mom come? And totally fine. She's 18. That totally makes sense to me.
I would insist her mom come actually at that age.
Exactly. I do not want to be the only guy there with an 18-year-old. Not my vibe. So I thought she was 21. It turns out she's 18. She looked 21. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, mom's coming for sure.
This is how a police report starts, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the mom was there for the entire shoot, and the mom was giving a lot of direction, a lot of direction for the clothing, a lot of direction for what.
That's a no-go for me. I shut that shit down, but go on.
Yeah, not direction for me, but direction for the daughter. The daughter
yeah, I shut that shit down.
Exactly. Daughter seemed very disinterested, and not once, not twice, but 3 times during the entire shoot. Whenever I'd suggest new outfits, the mom would go oh, there's a nice sheer top we've got, and yeah, exactly, and then she's
gonna be wearing a bra underneath that, right?
No, that's the thing. That's the next question was, I'd be like, yeah, sheer top's fine, because I'm just thinking black texture and stuff like that, and I just assumed the bra was a thing.
This thing, and it didn't.
And the mom asked me three times, 3 separate occasions, 3 separate outfits, same shoot. Do you want a bra or no bra? Not looking at the daughter, not asking the daughter. Daughter's right there, and it's just between me and her, and I'm just
bra. Say bra.
I'm just let's just do bra. But but the second time the daughter's just no, we're not doing no bra, mom. And mom just asked me again, bra or no bra. I'm
yeah, there are some fucked up parents out there. Let's put it that way. And I feel sorry for that girl, because she didn't have a support system there.
I should have brought my friend. Yeah, I was there by myself. I'm just this 6'4" dude, just I'm not informing on the decision of the bra for an 18-year-old. I'm not. Please get me out of here.
I tend to not work. I don't like to work with models that young, just because it's they're not. A lot of times they're just not sure. They haven't even figured shit out yet. They're super fucking young, and it's yeah, you're probably not even 110% comfortable in your skin yet. So let's make those decisions in your 20s. How about that? Maybe mid 20s.
A lot of the girls I knew at 18 didn't even know what to do with their boobs. You know what I mean? They have no idea what's going on. They're just I guess I'll use the same training bras from when I was 15. You know what I mean? A lot of girls, especially in university, they're not aware of that stuff. They don't have that conversation with their mom. They're kind of just I've got these things, I need to put them somewhere.
So college is, go about my day. That's what that whole college age is for. You're figuring shit out. Okay. So once you get beyond that, then go hit up a photographer for a shoot. But yeah, that whole situation sounds super creepy. Anyway, not sure how that relates to a question for Rachel, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I think it absolutely does, is because you've done very well for yourself, and you obviously came from a place where you had to learn a lot of things. And, you know, for girls out there who are interested in doing the same thing, they're interested in modeling, they're interested in NSFW, and, you know, maybe both, maybe not. What advice would you give them, you know, given that so much content's going on the internet and you'll be interacting with so many people who may or may not have power over you? Like, what's some advice that you give?
I would definitely say have a good separation between your work and your home life and like who you are. Don't let anybody intimidate you about it or feel like you have to talk about it. I've definitely had a lot of people always ask me, especially like meeting new people. It's like, oh, like, what do you do for work? And you don't always have to tell them what you do for work because it's not everyone's business, and it's also not a secret though. But, you know, it's one of those things that for your mental sanity, like, just don't make that part of your identity. You know, that's, I think, my biggest piece of advice.
I'm a big fan of operating in darkness, and that, like, if you earn the right to know what the fuck I'm up to, I'll let you know. But not every, like I've actually noticed that with social media. It's like there are you know, people that I allow in my Instagram world into my Facebook world, and then people I allow from my Facebook world into my Instagram world. And part of the reason why I block my Facebook world off from my Instagram world is I don't shoot NSFW content. I don't shoot that kind of stuff, but I do shoot really attractive people, and every now and then somebody from high school or whatever ends up like seeing that I'm on Instagram and they go, oh my God, it must be so fucking badass to shoot all these hot bitches and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yeah. And with that attitude, that's not how you fucking do it. Like you don't understand. If you take that kind of attitude, you'll never work with professional models and professional settings. Like, they only hire other professionals. And so if that's your attitude going into it, like, you totally don't understand where I'm coming from.
You'll be shooting pool parties and cheetah print swimwear.
And if you're listening to me from my hometown, who I went to high school with, you all are uncultured motherfuckers who think Olive Garden is prime cuisine. All right, I got that out of the way. So, but yeah, that's why, you know, I regulate who I let from my Facebook world into my Instagram world. It's not that I have anything to hide. It's just that you haven't earned the fucking right to know what I'm doing. You know, it's taking control over allowing people to see your work, and, you know, who's earned the right to see your work. Like, this stuff that I work on is deeply personal to me, and I'm sorry, I don't appreciate you on that level, so I'm not going to let you see it. You know, if you end up seeing it, great. But yeah, it's that whole thing. Just like Premier Right, this dude drops into my inbox, it's like, oh my God, you shoot so many hot chicks, and it's like, I shoot dudes too, motherfucker. Like you are focusing on one thing. I am focusing on something much broader, and it's about making myself a better photographer. And I have to shoot everybody to do that usually, because it helps me learn different skin types, different body types. You know, male, female, what you want to accentuate with shadows, etc. Shit sucks, man.
I find it easier to shoot dudes in any case. I wish I didn't, but, like, you know,
it's true. Like, I shoot
innately easier.
You don't choose your market chooses you. Women choose me to men like 100 to 1, and I still have an easier time shooting guys. Even though I shoot 100 times more women than I shoot men, it's probably because I am one.
Every male model I work with, they don't treat themselves like models. They almost like don't care that they're there, and it makes shooting them so much easier. Whereas, you know, like, shooting a female model, and not all girls are this way, of course, but, like, it is definitely a trend. There's a correlation. Is they think that, you know, having an eyelash missing or in their photo, or that, like, you know, like one line on their face is going to tank the entire shoot, and that it has to be addressed right away. And then suddenly, like, the energy goes from, like, sort of flowy, we're finding where we're going, to suddenly it's a little more frantic, and I'm just like, you know, like, calm the fuck down. Like, we're going to get there. You know what I mean? I can take the eyelash out. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, I think that has to do with how society treats people,
quite
too.
Possibly, yeah.
It's like, oh, you have to look perfect all the time. It's why you're wearing makeup in the first place. And, you know, you have to accentuate all your features. Of course, a lot of that probably comes back to attracting a mate, but it's kind of evolved over time. And it's like, no, I'm wearing it because I want to wear it, not because I need to go attract a mate.
Hey, this is Malika Graddick, and you're listening to the F11 Photography Podcast.
I'm looking at this really awesome shoot that you did with a typewriter, and super creative. I love the vibe of this shoot. Where do you draw inspiration for these types of shoots? And do you find that when you do a collaborative type shoot, what percentage is you handing an idea off to a photographer, and maybe a photographer that you have a rapport with handing the idea off to you? How much of it is mutual?
First of all, thank you so much. I really enjoyed doing that shoot. It was like a really fun concept. For that one, I had a couple of really unique swimsuits pulled aside, and my boyfriend got me that typewriter. I also had like one of his little Casio keyboards with me, like a little vintage, and some Playboys, some vintage book. And I think overall I was just like, I want this like scene, and my hair's short right now. It's looking very like French is what people have been saying. So I was like, I want like a feel Parisian, to feel like I'm like just, I don't know. And then we got to that location, and then it was like the most beautiful spot ever, right on the edge of Lake Travis. And that was me giving those pieces to the photographer and her doing her thing. And I knew that she would be able to capture it the way that I wanted to see it as well. That's why I chose to do it with her, because of her vision as well.
Yeah, it looks like she put like a soft type of filter or something on her. Use a soft lens. It's a very beautiful shoot. What other? I mean, so do you have like a little book of ideas that you sketch out like this? Like, okay, I do one with a typewriter, and that's cool. And do you just like how does this inspiration come to you? Are you just in the car and you're like, shit, I need to make a voice note to myself? Or how do you document and come up with these ideas?
I definitely think it's more like fly by the seat of my pants, but I'm trying to get a little more planned with it. But I think part of what makes it good for me is the spontaneity of it, and kind of just like when I have that thought, putting it straight into action, versus getting like too over analytical about it and like too picky about what I think I want from it.
It's interesting you say that, because like it takes two to tango. When you get spontaneous ideas, you need to have someone you can work with spontaneously. And so, there's going to be a photographer that just like texts like, okay, we need to do this. Like, we've got 7 days. We need to do it in 7 days. Let's try for 5. You know what I mean? Like how, and running off that theme, like how important is it to find people you can work with really well over and over and over again, instead of taking the risk of like sampling so many different photographers and maybe you're not getting work back that you want?
I think it's super important, especially for me personally. I've kind of shifted gears too to like mostly shooting with female photographers. There are some great male photographers I've worked with in the past that I've lowered my scope. Like, yes, I would work with them again, but I just have been more picky about the overall experience and how I feel. And I definitely like the photographer I did that shoot with. I've been working with her for at least a year or two now. And so I think that kind of like relationship and trust is really important for me with how the creativity comes about. Also just feeling like I can truly be myself in the situation. Sometimes, not that every guy is like this, but sometimes I've had shoots where it's just like, either I'm looking to somewhere and it's like, you look unhappy, you look blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that doesn't motivate me to want to look better. Like, right. That's not, in my opinion, a productive way to speak to a model, to be like, you look this way, you should be doing this. It's like, you're being kind of arrogant right now.
Mansplaining.
Well, yeah, it's like, fuck off, dude.
I mean, it's not like a sexist thing, but there's such a thing as a woman's touch and a man's touch, and women
totally
are so much more subtle about the way they say things, and so much more informative. Like, a woman could tell me something, and they'll have me like doing the dishes and shit, and I won't even know why. But a dude tells me like, hey, bitch, go do the dishes. I'll be like, fuck you, and then we get in a fist fight. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen.
Hopefully not a fist fight. I try to be very mindful about what I say around a model. Like, vocabulary you want to just not even have, like sexy and stuff like that. It's like never have them question what you're trying to say. Although it's funny, I've seen female photographers work. I'm like, holy fuck, if I said that, I would get in so much trouble. Like, your ass looks so nice, you look so fucking hot. I'm like, oh my god, if I said that, like, I'd be like, Me Too canceled like a motherfucker. So, but hey, whatever. It's not like the guys didn't create this fucking world. But yeah, you gotta watch what you say in those situations for sure. And honestly, like for the type of stuff that you do, like especially your OF stuff, like if I were a chick, I'd be working with women all day long. I'd be like, fuck this. Although I do know some women photographers who are highly fucking inappropriate, have terrible reputations, even in this town. And it's like, I've had like 4 independent women who don't even know each other come to me and complain about the same female photographer. So it's not universal, but stereotypes exist for a reason. That's all I'm going to say. Long-term plans for modeling. Like, where do you want to take this journey that you're on right now?
I definitely want to start working with more brands and more local like shops and stuff like that. I work with Manscaped currently. I've been working with them for a few years, and I love that. But I definitely like, whether it's paid or not or trade work, I just want to be more involved in the community and do more creative work. Like I really, really want to do more creative stuff and just be in the community.
Now, do you think that having an OF closes some doors for you but opens other doors for you? And can you cite maybe specific examples? More of the doors opening, not necessarily closing.
Yeah, totally. I think that there can be a huge stigma around it. There obviously have been brands where it's like, oh, they never reply, and you're like, okay, I know why. It's the OF probably, or whatever the reason is. That's definitely a factor. I definitely think it does open doors as well, though, just going back with the authenticity of yourself. It's like, this is me, this is what I do, and if someone's cool with it, fuck yeah. If they're not, then it's just not the right connection. It's not the right path, you know? And that's totally okay. Everyone has different opinions on things. I'm not some like home wrecker tramp just because I do OF. And I think that's a big stigma too, is people immediately go to the extreme, like, oh, she's trying to take my man or she's trying to whatever. And it's like, nope, just want to create, just want to have a good time, want everyone to do their thing, you know?
Yeah, I've only shot one model who I know of who has an OF account, and she's a photographer. Like, she is a professional photographer as well as being a model. And I was like, well, she shoots her own content. And we weren't shooting anything that was like what I would consider that. So it was like the one and only time I made that exception. But I do think that people like go out of their way to stigmatize things too much when there are all sorts of things that people do wrong in their lives. That's like, wow, you wear like clothes that were made with sweatshop labor, or, you know, you fill up your tank using gasoline that's being put, you know, gasoline that's putting money in the pockets of brutal dictatorships and so on and so forth. But people are like, oh my gosh, you showed your nipples. You're a fucking terrible human being. Oh man, we can't let you do this project or that project. I do think that, especially in the Austin market, it's probably a little more chill. That's why like people like Chive are like, yeah, cool, whatever. They don't give a shit. And there are a lot of more open-minded things. Even though Austin is a commercial market, I do think that there are some opportunities there. But then again, that's just me thinking out loud. You can comment on that. But you know, working with brands and all that, I mean, you, as you said, you've run into a couple instances, but in general, it's been okay for you. There hasn't been too much pushback on that. You've gotten some decent jobs out of it.
Yeah, I'd say so. I definitely, like I said, want to be doing more, but I think that just comes to putting myself out there more socially. And yeah, obviously Manscaped is, you know, even though Manscaped is a very like safe for work brand, or they were until they got back on tick, whatever. They do crazy ads, but like they've supported me through everything, which has been amazing too. And it's nice kind of having that like bigger brand on my back just to have some kind of credibility. I feel like it can be hard to be like, oh, can this chick actually model this product, do this thing if I don't have anything to show for it? You know, I feel like that's part of it.
That all being said, does the thought ever occur to you that like, hey, maybe Austin, Texas isn't the spot? Like maybe I'd just be getting better jobs or better market share in LA or New York or somewhere else? Because I know there are a lot of content creators here in Austin, and it is a big content creator hub for IRL, for TikTok, for Twitch, for OF as well. Like it's just a naturally large hub. But have you ever thought about changing market spaces?
I definitely have, and I definitely want to start traveling more. I do think, though, it is something that I can't sacrifice my mental well-being and my home life, like, routine to just, like, go so hard in the paint. I definitely feel like I'm in a place where I'm just really, like, figuring out the right steps and how to set myself up for success in the future and take better care of my health, all those things. And I think that, like, that's my main focus versus market change up. But I do think that there are tons of other opportunities elsewhere that, like, in the future I would not be afraid to travel to. I just don't think moving is something that, like, it's not a big priority for me. The OF thing makes me enough money that I'm comfortable, and I think it's more about just doing what feels right in the time that I'm in, you know?
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that there is a cap on that? because I will say one thing is like, YouTubers, really good YouTube channels, they have a cap of like 5 to 7 years. Usually, very rarely do they go beyond that. So you kind of have to like sort of plan ahead and obviously like, sort out your finances. Like, is that something that you've thought about? Is there like sort of like a route, like a rough route? And, if there is, like, is there something you tell your past self as you got into this and first started generating, a stable income?
Yeah, I definitely would tell my past self to save for taxes and figure all of that out. I definitely did not really understand it. And I came from 3 jobs to doing OF. I mean, I definitely like always been a hard worker, always been able to pay my bills and make good money. But definitely at that point, I was like, oh shit, like I was just trying to like fill a void kind of, spending money on things, trying to make myself feel better than I did in my relationship situations and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that really obviously put me where I'm at today, which is a great lesson. Now I'm fixing it and learning about it before it gets too late or whatever. But I definitely wish I'd just been like, hey, just set aside this income. Don't spend it,
So once again, educate me because I don't know too much about this, but OnlyFans, it's like a subscription service, right? Like you pay a monthly fee. Mm-hmm. So do you find that you have like a steady monthly income that obviously sometimes fluctuates from an increase and decrease, but is it, you pretty much have like steady subscribership basically, or how volatile is that subscription service?
It definitely varies. I've never dropped below like 400 consistent subscribers, which has been really great. Right now I'm at like 1,400. So obviously a lot more.
That's pretty awesome.
It's been amazing. The OFTV thing has been like insane, but I definitely, it wavers, it comes and goes. It is really hard to speak on it though, because the OFTV stuff in the past 3 months has changed everything. So there was always a consistent dip, but right now things are just going up.
So do you think that there's a market out there for almost 43-year-old men foot pics?
I mean, I tell it to everybody. Yeah, there's a market for anything out there. I think anyone can do it.
I'll take pictures of my fucking feet. Clear 5 G's a month. Let's go. I mean,
I'm going to go on a tangent here.
Go ahead.
About once every 6 months, someone who
Where are you going with this?
5.5. No. Once every 6 months to a year, I get a random text from a girl who went to my high school. She won't tell me who it is, but she will ask for feet pictures from me. And she will pay.
Tell me your secret.
She won't. And I don't know who the fuck it is. I've asked, but it's like clockwork. Like once every year.
How do you know they're from high school then?
Because I asked her. I was like, "What class were we in?" And she'll name the teacher. She'll name the period, and I'll be like, "Okay."
You got it down to probably 30 kids, and then half of them are dudes. So you're probably down to 15 chicks.
She won't give me a name. She won't give me like.
This is where you bust out the yearbook, dude. Look, you'll figure it out.
Look, she's paying me for like 3 seconds of work while I'm watching TV. Okay. Like in my pajamas.
So how much did you clear?
I clear about $50 for 6 photos.
Dude, that's too much work.
Are you kidding? What? Flash? Boom? I flex a little bit of like...
You got to raise your rates, bro.
Dude, my concern would be like, what if it's not a chick from your high school, it's a guy from your high school, and he's trying to like get a bunch of black foot blackmail. I'm gonna blackmail this guy with feet pics.
I thought about that, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, $50...
Even if they're taking my photos and like putting them in a database with like 30 other dudes and they're just like, that's what they're doing, like I'm fine with it. I've got paid what I think is a fair pay, and if they want to like monetize it, sure. No one knows who I am. They're not going to see me by my feet, I don't even shave my feet before I say they take these photos, they're just
apparently the dirtier the better. People are into weird shit.
Just get Greek yogurt and just
Before we go, is there anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to shout out to? Anything you're working on you want people to know about?
Definitely check me out on OFTV or on my Instagram, Rachel_Hill with 4 L's. And obviously, shout out to all the photographers I work with. They're all amazing. And thanks to you guys for having me on here.
Thank you so much. And everybody, Rachel Hill. That does it for today's episode. I am fucking up the board operation today, but I finally got my channel unmuted. Follow us at f11pod.com, or you can check out our handles on all the major social media platforms that we don't use. But if you want to see our tweets and our Instagram posts that we barely do, you will check out the handle F11pod. Special thanks to Rachel Hill, who was an amazing guest today. And kids, until next time, chase light and not algorithms.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.
For more information about this podcast, go to www.f11pod.com.